Hey everybody, welcome back. Wayne here. This week we're going to talk about a tool that we have used at Affair Recovery for years, and it's called the travel plan. And of all the couples that I have ever worked with, they all face this difficult truth, this difficult situation that relapse is a common part of infidelity recovery. But just because it's normal doesn't mean that couples should sit back and accept relapse and all of its pain and difficulty as an inevitability. After the betrayal, both spouses need to identify high-risk situations and come up with a plan together for how they're going to tackle those situations. And it probably comes as no surprise to you that traveling is one of the most high-risk situations for the wayward spouse in recovery. And that's why I encourage unfaithful partners, whenever they're going to be away from home, or even when the betrayed spouse is going on a trip, that the wayward spouse needs to create a travel plan. If you're the wayward spouse, a relapse can reveal pride or weak motivation or possibly an unwillingness to do whatever it takes for your recovery efforts. It can also reveal some deep inner wounds that you may have been struggling with since childhood. But relapse is often the primary motivator for you to begin to take the necessary steps to break the cycle of acting out. Often, it's not until relapse that the wayward spouse begins to seek help from either counseling or medication or a 12-step program support group and create strategies for handling those high-risk situations. And for many, traveling is one of those situations. So pandemic times aside, it's commonplace for companies to sponsor events that exclude spouses. And it's not unusual for men and women to have to travel together for business trips. Even when it's not for work, traveling is still a high-risk activity for the wayward spouse. It creates this environment where you're vulnerable to slip back into things like image management and self-deception and inappropriate behaviors. And with a travel plan, you can better ensure that you're acting in a safe, thoughtful, and careful way while you're away from home. I recommend having your spouse, your therapist, and/or your sponsor look at your travel plan, since they understand you and your patterns and can also help you identify any potentially risky situations that you might have overlooked or not even thought of. A travel plan is a very sensitive document. It's a very sensitive thing to share, but it'll only become stronger once a couple of other people that you know and trust will get their eyes on it. I can't tell you the number of travel plans that I have received and read and then given feedback. Whether it was a good travel plan or they needed to consider something, it's a great document for you to begin to ensure some safety for you and for your relationship. Ideally, your travel plan should be prepared about a week in advance so that everyone has ample time to weigh in. It's important to note that once your travel plan is approved, whether it's for a business trip or a weekend getaway with some friends, you're expressing to your spouse that you're committed to acting safely, carefully, and thoughtfully. If you can't commit to these three things, you're probably not ready to travel. During infidelity recovery, the last thing you want to do is lose the momentum and the extraordinary life that you're creating just to go through the misery of betrayal again. Let's face it, good intentions aren't enough to protect you and your loved ones and reestablish trust in the relationship. Restoring safety and trust requires intentionality. And by creating a travel plan before you embark on a trip, you'll be able to identify high-risk situations and devise exit strategies and select an accountability person. And having this structure ahead of time isn't just a means to prevent relapse, it's also necessary to put your loved ones at ease and restore safety in the relationship. To begin creating a travel plan, you need to answer a few questions. It's paramount to be as specific as you can in your answers, as they'll serve as the actual plan itself. And some of the questions might include, what are your potential areas of temptation and high-risk situations? What triggers or impulses or fantasies do you anticipate? Who will know your travel plans? What are your exit plans? Who will be traveling with you? And how do you remain accountable to your spouse or your therapist or your sponsor? The best travel plan ensures that when you go somewhere with potential high-risk situations, that you're prepared. You can create your own, but I'd highly recommend using the Affair Recovery Travel Plan. Over the years, this tried and tested travel plan has helped thousands of people stay accountable while they're on the go. When you register for EMS, whether the weekend or the online course, there's this 17-question form and a reference example that are included in the coursework. I'd also encourage you to sign up for the Hope for Healing course for wayward spouses. And in this small group, you and other wayward spouses will work through a curriculum that's designed to help you develop empathy and overcome shame and set healthy boundaries for yourself. Hope for Healing has provided targeted support for numerous participants over the years, so I urge you to consider it and use it as a resource during your healing journey. Yes, relapse does happen, but you can and you should take steps to prevent it whenever possible. To that end, creating a travel plan takes effort. It's emotional, and it does take time, but its potential benefits for you and your relationship make it well worth the effort. Thanks so much for joining me again this week. It's always good to be with you. Know that we at Affair Recovery are here to help you and support you any way we can. And until next week, take good care of yourself, and I'll see you then.